within a couple years, I was one of the biggest YouTubers out there. I was above Jimmy Kimmel at one point, above Rihanna, above like a lot of the
Right.
main people. I was top 41 at one point.
All right, it's Monday at 11 o'clock. Hi, this is Chazz Palminteri, the Chazz Palminteri Show. Another great show today, but before I do that, don't forget if you want to come and see my one-man show, the show that was a hit on Broadway and also voted Best Show of the Year in Las Vegas by the Las Vegas Journal. Best Show of the Year on the Strip. Don't forget my restaurants, Chazz Palminteri at 30 West 46th Street and 264 Main Street. But the show, chazzpalminteri.net. John, where am I going to be at September?
So
I'm taking July and August off, folks.
September 14th, you're going to be in Munhall, Pennsylvania at the Carnegie Homestead Music Hall. September 25th, you're going to be in Nashville, Tennessee at the Schermerhorn Theater. That's a tough word to say, Schermerhorn Theater. September 27th, you're going to be in New Buffalo, Michigan at Silver Creek Four Winds Casino. And September 28th, you're going to be in Detroit, Michigan at the Fisher Theater.
I'll tell you what, I'm all in September. That's a big September for me. All right. Everybody out there, I have never, and I have to say this, you know all my guests. I have great athletes. I have MVPs, Shaq, great boxers, world champions, actors, dancers, singers. I have never, ever, in all the years I've been doing this, had an influencer on the show. I just never have. But my friend, my man, John, my producer, John Sheridan out there, said, you have to meet this young lady. And I met her, and I said, wow, we got to have her on the show. She's one of the first. She was in the frontier of doing this, I think, especially for females. I think I could be wrong, but I think so. Incredibly talented, really knowledgeable, had 8 billion views.
It was 3 billion.
3 billion views.
Plus 5 on a different channel.
Plus
I mean, total 5.
Plus 5 billion views?
But 8 million subscribers.
And how many followers you have?
8 million on
8 million
YouTube.
followers? You know what? We got to have her on the show. Her name is Jen Smith. You can check her out on your channels. And she's pretty fascinating, interesting young woman. So, Jen, I got to know. So you started this in 2009, right?
Yes.
What were you doing at that time before this?
I was in college.
Yes.
Getting my degree in kinesiology.
In kinesiology?
Yes. My YouTube success was doing so well that I didn't have to work anymore, but I wanted to, because it was like this weird thing in my mind of like, I shouldn't stop working, but I really don't need to because I'm doing so well otherwise.
Yeah.
And I eventually stopped because I couldn't keep my schedule at work because I was getting so busy and I couldn't even like commit to my work days at work.
Now, did you ever talk about kinesiology on your podcast?
No.
Really?
Not really.
Wow, that's amazing. So you decide now. What was your first podcast? When did?
Well, I don't do many podcasts.
No, I'm sorry. I keep saying podcast. Video. You're a vlogger, as they say.
Yes. So in the beginning, before the vlogging started, I was doing a lot of comedy videos. And then that was blowing up into, I had viral videos back to back. And they were just getting a lot of recognition. And then the audience wanted to see more.
Comedy.
Yeah. And the audience wanted to see more. So I started to make vlog videos. And then that was also blowing up. And it was like within a couple years, I was one of the biggest YouTubers out there. I was above Jimmy Kimmel at one point, above Rihanna, above like a lot of the main people. I was top 41 at one point of all of YouTube.
Of all of YouTube?
Yes.
41. I mean,
a lot has changed now.
Yes.
But
yes, a lot has changed now. Wow. So you were really a pioneer.
Yeah.
I guess, did you have the foresight for this, or was this the right place at the right time? Or a combination of both, maybe?
Probably both, actually.
Yeah.
I never knew that this was going to be anything that I did. And back then, vlogging didn't exist. I was one of the first of about 3 YouTube channels that started vlogging. And it was pretty interesting because when I really look back at it, I think nowadays every single person pretty much in the world is picking up their cell phone and filming themselves daily.
Daily.
And that none of that existed.
Back then.
No, yeah, back then it didn't
Yeah.
exist. So I don't want to say I'm responsible for it,
Of course.
but in
Yeah.
a sense,
Yeah.
I recognize that I was one of the first people doing that. And
Yeah.
it's crazy how it's evolved so much.
Now, do you ever, and I mean, I mean, you have to talk about it. Do you ever think, Jen, that you go, all right, well, how long could this train
Yes,
roll and
absolutely.
where would I go if it changes? Like, are you on TikTok too?
I have it, but I'm not as I know I should be more active
You
on there,
should be
but
more
I'm
active.
not.
Instagram?
Yes.
Okay. And your Instagram handle is Jen Smith?
It's my name is Jen Smith, but my Instagram handle is Gina PvP because years ago my name online was Gina.
Ah, okay. I see. Okay. Right. But your biggest following is in YouTube,
Yes.
you would say.
Yes.
I mean, so do you ever think, well, what would I do if I didn't have, I mean, the idea is save as much money as you can right
Right.
now,
And
right?
that I've tried to do.
That you've tried to do.
Yeah.
Well, 15 years making a living. That's amazing.
Thank you.
What are some of like the biggest changes that you've seen in the industry?
How rapidly people are becoming content creators. Like back then an influencer wasn't a term. Nobody was an influencer. I was a content creator and I still consider myself both content creator, influencer, but now mostly everybody calls themselves an
Right.
influencer.
Now, some of your videos
Mhm.
that you do, I watched, and I saw you in a spa in Switzerland, I think it was.
Yeah.
You know, right? And that's a short video. It could be 5
Yeah.
minutes. So you would put that out, even if it's just 5 minutes, you would put that out every day or something else. Now, do you have to travel a lot to fill in all of this, or do you travel a lot?
In recent years, I've been doing a lot of travel content because that's what I enjoy most. I really love traveling. And if it's something that I can share with my audience and they enjoy it as well, and they can learn something about the places I've been that I've learned, I love to do that. But years ago, I was doing daily vlogs. So every single day for probably 6 years, I made a video. And that was very, very time consuming. And,
Right. Yeah. Now, do some of your videos do better than others?
Yeah, of course. Years ago, it did so much better, but now the platform is very concentrated.
It's very saturated.
Yes.
Yes. I know you feel like it's changed and that you feel like it's that much harder to get into, but do you feel like you have to keep up with all of this or try to do different things or do travel more or you feel any pressure in that?
I have, and it's interesting because sometimes that goes in my mind where
Yeah.
I'll feel that pressure, and I'm wondering what should I do? Should I switch it up? But what I love about what I've always done is that I enabled myself to have freedom with whatever I do. I did not put myself in a box, and I don't want to be in a box.
Great.
Like
Yeah.
I like doing everything.
Now, do all so you talk about anything,
Anything.
anything.
Yeah.
That's what I like, John, right?
I love it.
I mean, I do a lot of people in the arts, but sometimes I'll interview neighborhood people,
Yeah.
just people who grew up in my
Mhm.
neighborhood and that are 80 years old.
Yeah.
They're funny
Yeah.
and they got interesting take on life. And I do my podcast, and it sounds like you do the same, Jen. I do it for me.
Yes, I do.
I do it for me.
I learned that that's what's really
Right. And if
important.
you like it and you happen to tune in, great. If you don't like it, then you don't tune in.
Mhm.
But I do it because I enjoy it, you know?
I just love making travel videos because it's me in my most happiest form. I think I'm just so happy. I light up, and I love seeing different cultures, learning about them and what different parts of the world
Right.
look like because it's very different from where we live. And the challenges I think would be I'd like to remember to to stay in the moment and enjoy the moment and not all, because years ago when I was doing daily vlogs, I was so concentrated on like, let me pick up the camera and film right now. I was not focusing on enjoying the moment as much because I was
Right.
living through the screen more. So now I try to be very mindful of that.
Right.
What else?
No, I think that's great. And I noticed that so you take suggestions and you get feedback
Mhm.
from your people and you
Yeah.
answer them,
Yeah.
you know. Now, on most of your videos, what is the length of most of your videos that you film?
So I try to do between 7 to 10 minutes.
7 to 10 minutes. That's it.
Yes, yes. Years ago, there was kind of a lot of strategy involved in that process. I recognized that 2 to 3 minutes for comedy videos was the sweet spot. And you have to capture the audience in the beginning.
Right away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot.
Now, here's the amazing thing, Jen. You said to me, I was doing these comedy videos. Did you ever want to be an actress or anything like that?
Yes, I would love to. I just never did, really. I mean, there are a couple projects that I've been in
Yeah.
and involved with. I had my own show.
On YouTube.
Yeah, it was I was one of the first in 4 YouTube channels to be given the opportunity by YouTube to create an original series for YouTube Red. That was it was when they were launching the paid platform.
Yeah.
Now it's called YouTube Originals, but I was one of the first in 4 channels to executive produce and be and star in my
And
show.
YouTube paid you for that.
Yes, but that was it was a very stressful time because on top of doing that, I was also daily vlogging.
Wow.
And I already knew different roles in my own work because
Right.
I film, I edit, I upload, post.
So you do everything.
Yes.
You don't have a guy working for you? I mean,
I don't want to discredit by any means. In the beginning, my ex-boyfriend and I were making content together.
okay.
Jesse. So we started this together and I continued on by myself.
Right, after you broke up.
Yes.
Right, yeah. That's what happens
Yeah.
sometimes. And he does his own YouTube channel
Yes.
and you do yours.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine.
So we did a lot of it together.
I mean, did you ever get really like because I get crazy with stuff. Did you ever want to like film your daily your breakup or your fights?
We
No.
did. We
You
filmed.
did.
Well, that's also why our audience really loved us, was because we were very authentic in showing all different aspects of our life, especially because it was daily. So if you don't feel happy, we would
You would
talk,
show it.
We would show it, and we were very real. And I think that's another reason why everybody resonated.
She's hardcore, man.
I love that.
She's hardcore.
Do you feel like any of that could have like an effect on somebody's mental health, where like your private life isn't so private? Like, did any of that ever get into your head? Or
Yeah.
I'm just kind of curious as to like how you deal with putting your private life out in public.
I've actually toned down a lot because it did mess with my mental health. Like, I don't know if you want to call it that, but it did affect me in a way where I realized that over time, I began to create content based off what my audience wanted. I was asking for tons of feedback. I was receiving tons of feedback, whether I wanted it or didn't want it. And it could be positive, it could be negative. But you think about all these things. And also the negative comments, they never bothered me. I don't care. I laugh at it. I think it's funny.
You gotta.
But having my life in public is interesting. I begin to recognize some people who are fake because they find out more about me, and then I'm sure you
Of
deal with
course,
that.
yeah.
Isn't that horrible?
Yes, it is. Yes.
like I don't know. What do you?
Well, there's a certain
experience?
boundary where I go, and then I talk about, and I know you do too. You like to help people pursue their passion.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that's really important, and I do that. And I'll talk about personal things about me, but I won't talk about my actual relationship with my, in a fun way, maybe, or with my wife or my kids. But I'm okay talking about personal things about me, as long as I feel honest about it.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to be careful of giving someone too much information.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, too much. It's I don't know. I mean, I look at the I know people always say the Kardashians,
Mhm.
you know, and they built an empire.
Hmm.
And you get a lot of people who you negative put them down and stuff. I go, they're famous for being famous. And I go, you know what? they took something and then really built something out of it. So I give them their props and a big shout out to them that, hey, man, it might have started with a video and all this other stuff, but boy, I got to give people credit. They made it something and built an empire.
Right.
So I always tell people, well, if you think if it's that easy, then you go do it. You go try it. Because it's hard to stay on top for a long time without messing it up in any way. I mean, it's a lot of pressure. And people go, yeah, no, it is pressure to get on that camera and people want to see you be funny, want to see you be real. But I think that's the magic in it, I like that pressure. I'm sure you do too.
Yeah, but
You
when
know,
it's too much, it's a little too stressful. But yes.
there is a point where you have to put a line, then it's like, okay, it's hurting me now
Yeah.
because there's evil people in the world, where they say things and do things. Again, I don't give a shit about what they say because it's good that you don't care what people say.
Yeah, I don't care.
I
have
ignore
thick
it.
skin.
You have to ignore it because if you don't, I'm in the arts. I'll get a great review or a bad review. I don't care. But it's about being prolific and about doing your work. I mean, what do you see the future for YouTube? Do you see a future, or is it going to get more diluted? You think, or don't you think it maybe has to change or do something, Jen?
I mean, I definitely think that it is very diluted now.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's hard for new content creators to try to grow.
Yeah.
I think collaboration with other people always can help boost you up.
Right.
Whether you have similar content or not, it's just another platform that you're enabling yourself to grow from.
Right.
So that's always good.
Where are you traveling next? Are you traveling again?
I don't have plans anywhere yet, but I love going all over.
I mean, but think about your life, how blessed you are. You wake up in the morning, you go, I'm going to go to Switzerland. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going to go, a spa. Yeah. Well, let me look in this. Yeah, there's a spa in Switzerland. Yeah. Yeah, book me a plane ticket to Switzerland. I mean, you live a
I
blessed
do
life.
feel very blessed for all of the experiences that I've had. I really do.
Now, where'd you grow up?
In Philly.
Philadelphia?
Yep.
South Philly?
Northeast Philly.
Northeast Philly?
Yeah.
Are you Italian?
No.
No. Okay. What's your nationality? Where are you from?
English, Irish, German.
German. English, Irish, German.
Mix of everything.
A mix of everything. And growing up in Philly, so what was the idea about becoming a kinesiologist? How did that happen?
So I wanted to be a health and phys ed teacher, and I actually didn't know exactly what I wanted to do for
Right.
sure. But when you're that young and you're getting out of high school, you kind of have to pick something.
Right.
So I picked that because I love being physically active, and I thought maybe
You work out?
Yeah, I work out, and it might be nice to like help kids and whatever.
Yeah.
I that's what I was thinking. So I went to school. I started in Temple University in Philly.
Yeah.
I was studying kinesiology, and then I ended up moving to New Jersey, and I transferred to the school there. The program name changed to Health and Exercise Science.
Right.
Got my degree, summa cum laude,
Fantastic.
Graduated. And
There's a machine, a kinesis machine. I'm sure you've seen it. You know the machine.
yeah.
I was going to buy one, but I have a big gym downstairs. I work out, but I tried it. It's very good because it works your whole body and I'm surprised you never did a podcast. You never did a video on that.
I thought about doing a podcast at one point. I never did. I was starting this series a little before COVID. It was called Genuine Talk, and I spelled it genuine.
Genuine talk. Right,
And I
right.
had a couple guests on. It was pretty much a setup like this. But
yeah.
it was on YouTube, and it wasn't going out to a podcast platform. It was just
Right.
a YouTube video. And then I think COVID hit, and then I just, couldn't really do anything.
So you say your videos are 5 to 10 minutes. So you feel that's the spot where people, after 10, 15 minutes, people kind of move on.
Yeah.
Well, how do you explain these other people that have, well, my podcasts are always half hour, 30 minutes.
I think it depends on what you're talking about in each one too.
Yeah.
if it's really engaging and interesting, I think people will continue to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Rogan, he has like 3 hours.
That's a lot.
I go, how the hell could you talk to somebody for 3 hours?
But what's great is that you take the snippets and the most important pieces and you upload it as short form content. That's great.
But you see, what I thought was, and John corrected me, I thought that if people watch 15 minutes of my podcast and then they tune in again in a day, that counts as 2 views. But he said, no, that's 1 view.
Why is it 1?
Is that right, John?
They have to watch, I think, 3 minutes for it to count as a view, and then after that they can watch it up to like 50% or something like that. And then I think to get the second view they have to start it over, if I'm not mistaken.
I didn't know that.
But if they go back on a different time, I think that it would start as a new view, especially if the ads are on it.
It might. They actually
Yeah.
change up their algorithm all
I
the
know.
time and all this stuff. So it's really hard to keep up with it, which is, it leads me into another question that I wanted to ask you. Like somebody starting out today on YouTube, what would your recommendation be? I'm sure you get this question fairly often. Like if you were to go back in time and start again, what would you do? What would your advice be?
Number 1 advice is if you grow to a point where you're getting bigger deals or contracts, read your contracts. That I made the biggest mistake in the beginning, but it was a blessing in disguise because I learned a lot from that. I signed some agreements there. I was selling my videos, the exclusive rights, and I didn't know that I didn't own my videos anymore.
Right.
So in the
You
beginning,
didn't have a lawyer look at it?
I didn't, I was young. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, oh, wow, this opportunity is great. Sign away.
Yeah.
And I signed my rights away.
For those videos,
Yeah, in the beginning, it was probably like 10 or 5 videos.
but not anymore.
But they were good videos that were going viral. So I
Ah.
couldn't post them anymore on my own platform.
Wow.
Well, MTV and True TV were buying some of the videos from the
Really?
beginning, and they were in the contract. I didn't read it. I mean, I read some of it, but I didn't read it, and
You have to
because
be
the
a lawyer.
legal jargon,
legal
it's
jargon.
very,
No,
very
absolutely, yeah.
confusing. But I learned, and like I will always read my contracts now, always.
Oh, yeah, you should have a lawyer read.
I do, but I
Yeah.
read them also because I'll be like, hey, what does this mean? And I don't
I
want
do
this.
that
I don't
too.
want that. Take this out. Can you redline it? And we fix it.
It's funny, but the more you say no, they either they do it or they don't do
Right.
it. And if you don't care, that's the best way.
hmm
You say, I do my show. I don't care. If you don't want it, then go someplace else, and that's fine.
I loved your story about the Bronx Tale, how you
Right.
started it and were refusing to take many offers.
Right now, if I would have signed that contract, I who knows
Yeah,
what would happen
yeah.
to my life.
You
That's
picked
right.
the perfect situation, I think.
Well, I had it was like perfect timing,
Yeah.
and I had I performed it a certain way where it was, and thank you for coming to see the film. I'm
Thank
glad you
you.
enjoyed it.
Thank
Yeah.
you for having me. That was so amazing. To be honest, it's actually crazy, and this is a full circle moment.
Sure.
A Bronx Tale is my favorite movie ever, ever. And during the time that I
Wow.
was content creating, I was really busy with my own life that I didn't really have a lot of time to watch a lot of movies. So Bronx Tale always remained my favorite movie. And I know somewhere within my content, I probably did a Q&A or several times I know that I've mentioned,
Yeah.
if I were told, what's your favorite movie, I would say. And I want to find that content so I could like show you, but
I
it
believe
really
you.
is. It really is. I love this movie
Well,
so
it's
much.
about, just like your passion to help other people. It's about not wasting talent.
Yeah. And you had a good message.
And
It was great.
And I think I think that's why Bronx Tale's been around for 34 years
Mhm.
as a play, as a movie, and as a musical. And now as a movie of the play.
Right.
So it's like all the incarnations. Like a great story is a great story.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing story you have. Do you think it was harder for a woman to start this than a man, or it didn't matter?
Well, like I said, I started with my ex. We were doing this together. So we kind of like built this empire and just blew up.
You think that was the cause of your breakup?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, there were several factors. Not several, like because we
Well, I
were.
don't want to be too
It's
personal. though.
okay. We were at a point where we were making content every day, and that became stressful because like we started to film shots that weren't genuine, and we're like, what are we doing this for? Like we would hold hands and have the camera set up, and then we'd like go turn the camera off. It's like, why did we just do that? That wasn't a real moment from you and I. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that was one part, and that was the only thing we would ever fight about. We didn't really fight. We had a good solid relationship, and we would only fight about videos and content.
I'm surprised after you broke up, like you both didn't want to keep the channel or any, fighting about that. That's because that's always
Well, we had 2 channels. That's why I said I had 5 billion views in total, because we separated them, and I have the one channel
right.
and my channel has 3 billion.
Yeah, that's amazing that people always go. They always go. People who win the lottery, after a while, it breaks up their marriage. They fight with their kids. Success is a bitch.
Right. But we're still really close friends.
You're still
Like
good
there's
friends?
there hasn't been any problems with anything.
Wow. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
You should have you should do like a video on that. How to be friends after you break up.
I know. People always ask me that for advice. Like years
Yeah.
later, give me advice about going through a breakup. It's so tough. Like, what should
Yeah.
I do? I don't know how to get through this.
The only way to get through a breakup is to get through it.
Right.
You have to get
Exactly.
through it, and sometimes a separation is the best thing. I always tell people, because a separation does 2 things, and they're both good. Either way, either the person realizes that they really love you and they come back,
Mhm.
or you both realize that, you know what, I didn't love him as much as I thought I did, and you break up.
Right.
So it's a good thing. But that would be an interesting podcast. John, that should be an interesting.
How to be civil after you break up.
But the idea is, how do you get the people to be on the show?
The 2 people that have broken up.
Yeah, and then get them on.
If they're already still remaining friends, I think it would be easy.
I know, but that's a tough.
We're not trying to host the Jerry Springer here.
Yeah, no, I don't want that. Whereas Jerry Springer, they're fighting and punching each other, and I'm breaking it up. But that'd be interesting. I'm always thinking of different.
I'm sure if I asked him, he would do it. If you were interested, he would totally do it.
Really?
And I would be
Interesting.
open to it.
Well, speak to John. I love to
Food
have
for
you
thought.
guys.
Yeah.
Because I think it'd be great. I think it'd be, I don't know if it's just the person, if it's you and him, that you can remain great friends. Are you married now? Or
No,
no, and is he married?
I've been single since him.
Really?
But I'm happy with it because, for one, it took me a long time to heal.
Yeah.
That took a very long time. And also, like, my life has been in the public eye in a sense that it's uncomfortable for me to try dating. Do you know what I mean?
Do you get recognized when you go out all over the place?
Yeah, not always, but yeah, I never know when it's going to happen. On my way here, I think, I'm not positive,
Right.
but when I got gas, I think the guy at the gas station might have recognized it. He didn't say anything, but he gave me that feeling.
He gave
of
you that
like,
feeling,
like
that extra long look where they look at you like this.
Like I just usually know at that point, but I do from time to time.
Yeah, but I think that would be a great video of 2 people who broke up and how to remain friends afterwards. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy.
I like it.
I like it, but I love that while they were going through it, they filmed it. Oh my God.
That's
Well, we
unique.
had to, because our life was online. We had to announce it to our audience and like let them know what was happening.
That is
It was horrible. That was horrible.
that has gotta be hard.
Really, really.
Especially because, it's okay if you're doing it as an act, but if you really love each other.
Hmm.
Wow. Jen, man, you're tough.
I have to be.
No, but you have to be. But really, I'm so happy that you've done the show. I mean, you're really one of the one of the pioneers of the internet.
Thank you.
Jen Smith, folks. I mean, check her out on her videos and her Instagram, and her content is really different and incredible. Look, you don't get like billions of views if you're not interesting. People don't care. One thing about the public, they let you know. Like if they don't like it, they tell you, and if they like it,
Right.
they love it.
Right. Before we were on camera, we were talking a bit about how many views I had, and I was curious to ask you, how many views does a movie typically get?
A movie that are you talking about something on HBO or something that people go to the theater and pay? It's 2 different things.
I guess each of
Each.
them.
Well, I mean, an HBO, if it Now HBO or Showtime or Netflix, you get 500,000 views. That's good. That's damn good. You get 1
Really?
million views? Oh my God.
Wow. That's interesting to hear.
Right? Now, you get 1 million people that come to see you in the theater that pay $20? Do the math. That's a lot of money. So that's a very good question, Jen, because things have changed.
I know.
You know, it's like you had to be on to advertise. You had to be on the spend a fortune in advertising and be on Johnny Carson and David Letterman and all these other big shows. You don't have to do that no more.
You can self-promote everything.
Self-promote. In fact, when my movie comes out, A Bronx Tale, that you saw already, which is great, I'm going to tell you about it.
I will absolutely help promote it. I would be happy
I
to.
appreciate that because I know how much you liked it. But that's really an interesting question because some of these comedians now, and myself, I'm not a comic, but I'm an actor. But when I do my show, I talk about it, and I don't get the views that you get. I mean, you're in the billions and multi-millions. I'll get 1 million people a month that'll see, and I talk about my shows, and people, I just sell out every show.
Great.
So I think the parameter, is that the word, right? Parameter? Yeah, the parameter's changed. It's different now, the self-promotion.
Yeah.
I mean, I even think that some of these people who have record labels, they don't have a record label. They sell it themselves.
Yeah. It's amazing.
They, what do you call it? Louis C.K. sells his videos himself. Bill Burr, some of those guys, they have this self-promotion thing that's amazing. And to think about that, you started all that, not just you and a handful of other people. That's very rewarding that you were on the front of technology and took it pretty far and still doing it
Yeah.
and still very successful. You should be very proud of yourself.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
But, I really want to thank you for being on the show, Jen, especially for young people who, and for the way you share your knowledge about people who want to do this.
Yeah.
Look, is it harder now than it was when you started?
Absolutely.
I mean, I know it was hard when I started. I only started maybe 3-4 years ago. Now it's almost impossible. I don't know how many YouTube channels there are now. There's hundreds of thousands, I think, right?
There's a lot. I can't even keep up with.
Yeah, that you can't even think. But before we close, is there any advice, any simple advice that you can give someone who wants to start a YouTube channel?
Try your best to be your authentic self and enjoy what you're doing. And don't get wrapped up in the tedious parts. You have to show realness on camera, and that's how people will like you and care and want to stay with you.
Yeah, because people smell that.
Yeah.
They smell if it ain't authentic. They do. That's great advice. Thank you so much. It's the Chazz Palminteri Show. We'll see you next week. Don't forget to go to chazzpalminteri.net if you want to come and see the award-winning show. And my schedule is there. Come and see me. God bless you. See you next week.